The whole idea of all of what we're doing is awakening consciousness. And in consciousness, there is no war, there is no suffering, there is no poverty. There is abundance for all. There is truly ease and joy and glory as our living, breathing world. And it just gets greater all the time. In the Being You class, we found something that we eventually ended up calling the twist. And the twist is something that you invented as though it is you to live as a functioning member of an AI-induced, artificial intelligence-induced, electromagnetic, presumptive, need-filled reality. So you invented a false you to do this reality for you, and it functions like a being, but it's quite literally a being you apparently invented or hired or something. I'm going to say invented for now, but it's not quite right. And you did that so that the powers that be that wanted to stop consciousness would focus on that, believe that was all of you, while you were hiding your awareness and your very being so it could never be destroyed. And you're also hiding consciousness so it could never be destroyed. Whew. And all of you who felt like double agents your entire life, because there's this thing that appears to be you and appears to run your life and appears to make every stupid choice you've ever made and appears to value stupid choices over choice. And then there's a space of something called you that is beyond it that never seems to be able to get inside to make the choices. Now is the time and the space beyond time to untwist you so you can actually perceive, know, be, and receive you, the being you truly be. Another thing that a lot of you may notice, and we talked about this in the Being You class too, is the whole idea of all of what we're doing is awakening consciousness. And in consciousness, there is no war, there is no suffering, there is no poverty. There is abundance for all. There is truly ease and joy and glory as our waking, living, breathing world. And it just gets greater all the time. In that, a lot of you know that you are interested in that. You know, it's part of what you desire. And with consciousness, it's a way of changing everything that doesn't currently work in our world, that doesn't really work for any of us. And yet there are some of you that have even, you'll do access, but you feel like you're on the outside of it. Like everybody else is getting something you're not. Even in something that is actually about oneness, which is kind of weird because the whole idea is oneness. And yet there's like access and oneness, and then there's you. You're like, yeah, I don't even feel like I'm a part of those weirdos. No, part of that is a humanoid point of view. Okay. But there's another part of it that I found that we talked about in the Being You class, which is where how many of you specifically put yourself on the outside so that in case they manage to destroy consciousness with the main group, if you will, and the rest of everybody else, that you would, and the others that were on the quote unquote outside, would be able to actually make sure that consciousness survived and you'd be able to awaken it when the time was right. One of the other things then is how many of you have felt like a double agent your whole life, and how much of that is actually that you were not a double agent, meaning pretending to be light and really working for the dark. It's more the other way around, where you allowed yourself to be part of all the unconsciousness and anti-consciousness so you would know what was going on, so you'd be able to help change it when now was the time and now was the space. And so now is the time and now is the space. And that idea of you being a double agent, as though that meant you were somehow bad and wrong, will you acknowledge that what it really means is you were so friggin' brilliant and so friggin' potent that you're, instead of being a double agent, you're more like a triple agent, which actually truly is interested in consciousness. And what's interesting though is I couldn't talk about it if you guys weren't willing to hear it. Because I know what that energy is, where you try to, it feels like pushing a battleship uphill with your nose. It's just like, I know what that's like. And this is not that. So I would like to acknowledge you all and the gift of your willingness to go on an undefined exploration if it's presented to you. And also to know that because if, and here's the other thing that's so interesting to me is it is so often the weirdest things that we hear that most have the resonance of truth. And I used to try to avoid saying the really weird things until a few years ago. I got to a point where I was like, you know what? If I have to be the weirdest fucker on the planet to be what I'm here to be, to create the change I'm here to create, that's fine. What I realized was I'm going to be as weird as I am. I'm going to stop trying to explain ESB, these energetic sessions that I do. I'm going to stop. What I chose to do was I'm going to go to the realms of energy that I can and that I know and that people are willing to have, even if I can't put words to it, even if I can't explain it to anybody. So everything that doesn't allow you to be all the weird energies you are, even if you can't explain it to anyone. And everything that doesn't allow you to recognize, you don't have to say anything to anyone about anything. You can be as weird as you are in your own damn head and nobody will ever know. Just look at people like most people do, like, hi, and just have all the weird shit going on in your head. Just look at them with the dumb smile they expect you to have, like everybody else is having, and then have all the weird shit go on in your head. Just for me, just for fun, never tell anyone. So what I was going to say with that was I noticed that as I was more willing to have that, and I've noticed all the way along for the last 23, almost 24 years now, I've noticed all the way along where I will say something that sounds like the weirdest fucking thing ever during a session, during a class, during a facilitation, whatever. And the person goes, oh my God, thank you. That explains so much. And you're like, oh, you mean that you're a different species and you're not from here and this reality isn't yours and you're here to change it? And yeah, thank you. Finally, somebody's speaking my language. Finally, somebody talking truth. I'm like, yeah, that's so cool. So I just want you to have that in your awareness also. Thank you. I want you to have in your awareness that is what is. When you speak about what it, no, you don't have to go say weird shit just to prove you're weird. We do that too. Like a lot of people, try to say the weird thing to prove how weird they are. And it's like, you don't have to do that. Just don't hide what you know to be true from you. And then if you can have the conversation with somebody else, then you can have the conversation with somebody else.